So, I've been flying my Mavic Air 2 now for a few months and I've been playing around with the footage. It's time for a review. Maybe not a review because I'm not a professional drone pilot, but that doesn't mean I can't tell you what I think, right? In short, the Mavic Air 2 is excellent. I like it a lot and there's not much that I don't like, except for one little thing. There's one thing that I really hate. So, the Mavic Air 2... like it, and it sucks. Okay guys, but first of all, again, thank you so much to all of you for subscribing, because I mean, that's what makes having this YouTube channel so much fun. I like talking to you guys in the comments, I love hearing your opinions. So if you're new here, maybe join the club? Anyway, let's go fly this thing now so I can show you what Belgium looks like. A tiny part anyway. Okay, so first the controller, and I love that they redesigned it because I never got why in previous models they put the screen in the bottom. Well, actually, when it's a built-in screen, I do get it because you have to put your hands here, and if you want to keep everything compact, there's no other way than to put the screen in the bottom. Now, this new design is a little bit bulkier, yeah, but it just feels so much better, and when you put your phone on the top, it just makes sense. You get more that feeling of playing a video game, and that's good because it just feels more natural to fly. And that's really important if you want to fly your drone with confidence through tight spaces, for example. There's nothing bad to say about this controller, it just makes sense and it works. And when you're done, you take off your phone, the little cable goes back here, you close this, screw off the little joysticks, and you have this compact little thingy that you can put in your bag. Perfect. And the Mavic Air 2 is so easy to fly. I mean, I know that I crashed mine only 2 days after buying, but that was my fault and not the drone's. A few weeks ago, I let my nephews try, 5 and 7 years old I think, and they got the hang of it within 5 minutes. Super easy. And part of the reason why I crashed my Mavic Air 2 is that it doesn't have sensors on the side. Now, it was totally my fault, not the drone's fault, but if it would have had sensors on the side, I wouldn't have crashed it. The thing is, the sensors are so good that at some point you start to trust the sensors, and when that happens, it's key to remember that it doesn't have sensors on the side. Very important to remember. Flight time is also excellent. You get a little over 30 minutes. Just don't make the same mistake as I did and get the Fly More combo, because you're gonna need 2 batteries. 30 minutes seems like a lot, but when you're flying, it flies by. So make sure that you get 2 batteries from the start. The connection between the drone and the controller is also super reliable. Now, I have to be honest, I haven't flown it like miles away because here in Belgium, you always have to fly within eyesight. But in those 3 months, I haven't lost connection once. And that's really important because when you fly a drone for the first time, especially for the first time, that's always in the back of your head. Like, you see it high up there, what if it loses connection now? And that's not good for your drone flying confidence, you know? But with the Mavic Air 2, no problem. Super stable. The Mavic Air 2 also has a lot of built-in features to help you to get better shots. Now, I usually like to fly manually, I like to have control, so I don't use all of those features all the time. But I do like the orbit feature and the active track because they work really well and they're super easy to use. I also like the other features because sometimes they do come in handy, but another reason why I don't use quick shots a lot, for example, is that you can't use them with the D-Cinelike profile, the flat color profile. So that's why I usually avoid using those quick shots. Okay guys, this is where it gets... Now, look, I'm not a professional drone pilot and this is not a professional drone, so for me, at this point, I'm okay with the results. But I am a professional photographer and I love filmmaking, so I do care about image quality. The photo quality is really good, but I don't use my Mavic Air 2 for photography that often. Now, video quality. So overall, I do like it. For what I'm using, it's good enough. It suffers from a few things that a lot of small sensors, tiny sensors suffer from. And that's noisy shadows, for example, so you always have to make sure to set the correct exposure. There's not a lot of room to fix mistakes in post. You can definitely work with the footage, but again, you can't compare it to a full-frame sensor shooting in a log profile or RAW. Okay guys, wait a minute, because this is really weird. While finishing this video, editing that last drone sequence that you saw, I noticed that all the footage is super noisy, even in the mids, highlights, and I have no idea why. The first sequence looked fine, even the shots in the same lighting conditions, and I only shoot ISO 100 and 200. So can anyone help me out here? Because the only difference was that the first sequence was in 4K 24 and the last sequence with the noisy footage 4K 60. But I've used 4K 60 before and I've never noticed anything weird like that. For both sequences I used a combination of a polarizing and ND filter, an ND 16 for the first one and 32 for the second one. But also used those before and never any problems. And then the weirdest thing is when I play the footage, the waveform flickers. It's super weird. What is that? This is a shot from the first sequence. Waveform looks normal when I play it. And this is a shot from the last sequence with the noisy footage. You see how that flickers? What is that? And all the shots from yesterday are like that. I have no idea what's going on. Is it the filter that, because I don't know what, interferes with the sensor? Or is it the 60p? Or is it the firmware update that I installed right before shooting these sequences? I have no clue, but I'm gonna test it some more, and if the problem stays, I'll make a video about it, because that would mean that there are two things I don't like about the Mavic Air 2. So I hope that one of you can help me out here and tell me what's going on. Anyway, let's continue with the one thing that I don't like about the Mavic Air 2. Usually I shoot 4K 24 or 4K 60, and for what I'm using the footage for, I almost have no complaints, except for one thing. Everything looks so super sharp. It's over sharpened. And that really messes up the footage, because if you want to mix it in with other cameras, then it really stands out. Now, how bad it looks depends on the time you're shooting, because when the sun is really high and there's a lot of contrast, a lot of harsh shadows, then it's more noticeable. The results are definitely better when the light is soft or at golden hour, for example. But still, and I don't get why you can't adjust the sharpness in the settings. I think it was even possible with the original Mavic Air, so why not for the Mavic Air 2? I hope they come with a firmware update soon, because if you want that over-sharpened look, I mean, some people like it and I don't mind, but if you want that, then do it in post. That's what I do right now, but the other way around, because I have to soften the footage a bit in DaVinci Resolve using the Film Convert plugin, but that's not the best solution. So it's a fix that we desperately need. Some people like their footage really sharp, but other people like me don't. And it should be a simple software fix, so... But when it comes to the Mavic Air 2, that's actually the only negative point that I have, because I think it's a really good drone if you want something that's positioned between a beginner drone and a professional drone. The footage, except for that over-sharpening, looks pretty good, and let's be honest, for most people who buy this drone for what they're using it for, it's more than good enough. For me also at this point. I feel like it's a great choice for people wanting to buy their first drone, people who are into photography and videography, but that don't want to spend a lot of money on a pro drone, because they don't need a pro drone or because it's their first drone. But it would be nice if they just fixed that over-sharpened look. Let me know in the comments what you think about that over-sharpened look. Does it look bad to you or not? Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one.